Friends, being that it's Education Sunday, we have one of our students from up the hill at Southwestern, Odyssey, who spent the summer as part of the Micah Corps. And for many of you, that may be a familiar term, but for others, you may not have heard of the Micah Corps experience before. And so I invited Odyssey to come and share a little bit of the work that she was able to do with a number of young people. And you can see how the United Methodist Connection is meaningful and out there making a difference in the world through so many programs that we just simply don't get to see day in and day out. So Odyssey, thank you for being willing to share.
So hi, my name is Odyssey Mann. I'm a junior at Southwestern College. I'm majoring in philosophy and religion, and I'm minoring in music. I'm originally from El Paso, Texas, and this past summer I did Micah Corps. So Micah Corps is based in Omaha, Nebraska, and named after the Micah 6:8 verse, which reads, "Do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with God." My internship consisted of 5 other young adults who were committed to social justice and growing their faith as well. We met with politicians in the local level, state level, and federal level. We worked with pastors, and we had a host church all summer. We helped with community organizing. We got to walk in 2 parades. We intentionally created one-on-one relationships. We visited some nonprofits, and we studied John Wesley's social principles, the Book of Discipline, liberation theology, and ultimately grew our faith this summer. 2 days after I began my internship, the Uvalde shooting happened. It was a very sad way to start the summer. You dedicate your whole summer to changing the world when it becomes very hopeless. Everywhere I looked, American flags were half raised. Social media was a very emotionally draining place. And I remember being at the gym and seeing TVs that hung on the wall being filled with more developing sad news every day. Truthfully, I didn't really know what to expect from Micah Corps. But after Uvalde, I realized that justice work was not going to be easy. It's emotional, it's personal, and it upsets some people. People I loved and people I respected. And as a people pleaser, I took this harder when the inevitable happened and I upset someone very close to me. I learned that justice is not about making people happy, because even Christ couldn't do that. Justice is about doing what's right. It's about having hard conversations. It's about giving grace and mercy where it is due, because to clean the world, you have to get your hands dirty. Growing up, I was told to avoid talking about politics, especially at church. It's too divisive. But when we look at the definition of the word politics, it is defined as the way groups of people make decisions and govern themselves. It is how we do things. It is how we live life. And that's what Jesus came to teach us, how to live this life. This summer, I had the privilege of working under Pastor Stephanie at St. Paul Benson in Omaha. She told us about her personal experiences being a woman in a male-dominated career. I experienced God through music, and at my first service there, they played a non-traditional song that I had never heard before. So it might be because I live under a rock, but I had never heard of Bob Dylan before that day. I know. My dad was very disappointed in me. But they played the song Blowing in the Wind, and one of the lyrics is, "How many deaths will it take till know that too many people have died?" A whole church service was dedicated to this tragedy, a service that left lots of people with hope that our God is a God of justice. I had never heard of something like that, and this past summer, the church gave me a lot of healing. I had never been to a pride parade. This summer, not only did I go to my very first one, but I got to walk in a church with one. I got to walk alongside a church in one, a church that welcomed and accepted everyone for who they were. It gave me a lot of peace and space to fall in love with the church all over again. In Micah 6:8, we are given justice, mercy, and humility. All 3 of these things go hand in hand. It is not one over the other. This summer, I learned the difference between mercy work and justice work. Mercy work involves helping those who need it. You see, Christians in the church are very good at doing mercy work. It is very easy to feed the homeless, to give money to people who need it. Mercy work is important work. But justice work is asking, why are all these people homeless? Why do these people not have enough money? It's having hard conversations, and it's upsetting people, but it's doing something about it. It's advocacy so that no one is ever hungry or poor again. Part of my internship included a trip to Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, I did not see Joe Biden. I went to his house, but they would not let me in. We did different things while we were there. We went to the National Mall, lots of museums, historical landmarks. We even got to go to the Church and Society building, which is the United Methodist building, and it's right next to the Supreme Court. It's very, very cool. We planned to meet Senator Moran, who represents state of Kansas, and we met with one of his aides, and I asked him to fix the sidewalks in Winfield, and he said he'll see what he can do. But I was in Washington, D.C. when the overturning of Roe happened. It was a very crazy experience, to say the least. I saw people celebrating and people crying, and I saw people worshiping in front of the Supreme Court and people praying as they sobbed. It was a lot to take in. And when you're at the Capitol for the first time, I had seen these things in history books and on the news, but it was there before my eyes, and it's a strange feeling because you live in a country where some people's lives matter more than others, where some people are being denied health care for whatever reason they need, where only a specific group of people are being upheld, but there is so much hope. There's so much possibility that there is much more to this, that this is not the end, that tomorrow will be a lot better than yesterday. I experienced a lot of healing this summer from the church. I grew a lot in my faith, and I healed some parts of my bitter heart. I learned that I can't please everyone, and that justice isn't about rainbows and butterflies. I learned that it's a lot easier than you think to contact your local representatives. I learned about Martin Luther King and Cesar Chavez, who created faith-based movements to change the world and advocate for the oppressed. Most importantly, I learned about Jesus Christ, the ultimate social justice warrior. He was a poor brown man who associated himself with sinners, the condemned, with women, the ill, foreigners, and children. He questioned religious leaders, he challenged power, and he flipped some tables while doing it. At my last church service, they played a hymn that constantly repeated the lyric, "What does the Lord require of you?" Were we made to sit and listen, or were we made to stand and speak? In a world with millions of voices, which one will you listen to? And in a world with millions of voices, how will you use your voice? My last service before my internship was over, I was asked to play a song about justice and mercy. I play guitar. I looked through the many contemporary Christian songs out there, but there are not many songs about justice. It is very sad that I had so little to go with for my last service. However, I ended up playing a really well-known song, and I'm hoping that we can all sing it together to end my time. So please feel free to sing with me this song called "This Land Is Your Land." This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Thank you.